Hi, I'm Tiffany. Welcome to Towering TBR. Today is the start of my fourth and final vlog for Amazing Readathon. If you don't know what I'm talking about or you've missed parts 1, 2, or 3, I will link them up above and in the description below. Because I carry books throughout the week and it makes sense to watch it in order. Last I updated you, we were traveling to Bangkok and we had to have a book that had at least 5 colors or different shades on the cover. And I have been slowly reading the 5th season for a while now, and I was able to finish this for this prompt. There are blue, green, black, gold, and white. So that's 5. This was phenomenal. I bought this book like 6 years ago, but was so intimidated I did not pick it up. And I mean, I'm not wrong. Like it was a denser read than normal. It did take more time and attention and checking back with the appendices to learn what certain terms meant. But it was so rewarding and so wonderful. And we got information at the very end that made me immediately want to just pick it back up and start over now that I had additional information. I wanted to see what hints there were, and like, it's phenomenal. It's 5 stars. I'm really excited for the second book. There's a wait at my library, but I'm going to pick up the second book as soon as it is available. It's just phenomenal. Like, I can understand why this won so many awards. So this was 468 pages. I used a plane this time, which doubles my points to 936. And I get the additional 50 bonus points because it is a fantasy, which is 986 points submitted for leg 8. I also mentioned in my last vlog that I was reading this and was kind of underwhelmed, and I may or may not pick it up. I'm not sure. That's still up in the air. I might consider it. I have some time for sightseeing, so I've still got some graphic novels that could be worth some big points. So I may try to get those in. I have a big day of editing because I need to finish my week 3 vlog, and that cuts into my reading time. So that's how this leg is going. I am feeling really positive about this week. Last week was a bit of a dud, but this week is looking much better. Oh, and for our detour, Bree talked about how Bangkok is like the nickname of the city, and that the city is actually has the world record for the longest name. It was so many characters. And so we had a prompt to post our longest book that we had. So I, of course, submitted this, which was my beautiful copy of Don Quixote, which is 900 plus pages. And we'll see how much sightseeing I can get in before the next leg drops. Hey, so today is day 26. After reading the 5th season, I was kind of in a book hangover. It was so good, and I knew that nothing would really compare except the sequel, which I cannot get a hold of just yet. So I decided to just pick up a comic. I don't usually have like ridiculously high expectations of comics. So I picked up Other Ever Afters by Melanie Gillman. And they are a queer author, and they basically kind of made some fairy tales with queer characters. And I liked the art. I think it's quite lovely. But there were like 7 fairy tales in this book, and none of them really seemed to have much of a conclusion. In my previous experience with fairy tales, there's usually some sort of moral or something, and I feel like they were just kind of incomplete. And in the back, it did say that the author created this in like a 24-hour period of time, and I feel like maybe she just needed a little bit more time because this was very unpolished. I'm giving it 2 stars, but I am going to be able to submit it for sightseeing for the prompt, a weapon on the cover. If you can see, she's got a bow and arrow. So yeah, 2 stars, but I got 300 points for weapon on the cover, and an additional 50 for queer author, and another additional 50 for fantasy. So all in all, submitted 400 points. I did finally decide to pick up Can't Spell Treason Without T. I did say it was underwhelming, and that's still true, But for me, it's easier to continue a book than it is to start a book. And so I just decided to keep going. And I'm about 55% in. And it's still fine. Like, there is supposed to be a sequel coming out this year, but I don't think I'll pick it up unless, like, the ending is just spectacular. I was still in a weird mood, so I picked up a sci-fi, A Half-Built Garden, and I got 39 pages in and just felt underwhelmed. So I have kind of a lot of things on the go right now. The last one that I am currently reading is Be Gay, Do Comics. This is an anthology from 40 different authors who created information like graphic memoirs or queer history or just different discussions about gender, and I'm really enjoying this. Now, because the art style varies quite a lot, not all of them are like my ideal art form, but I think the stories are really important. There was history about a Jewish gay man infiltrating the Nazis to try and help other persecuted folks. And I thought this line was really touching. It said, "We don't have to imagine what they will do if they take power. We already know." And yeah, talking about fascist governments. I also like this. It was talking about queerative, which is queer and creative. And it says, unfortunately, it does not come with a montage, but if it did, it would look something like this. And they're riding a unicorn with what looks like a pen or something. I don't know. And I really liked this on the difference between singular and plural pronouns and how homophobic or transphobic people balk quite a lot at using they for singular, but then they point out that they do this all the time, and it has been socially acceptable, and it's just a stupid hill to die on. So I'm only 100 pages in, and this is close to 300 pages, so I'm going to keep reading this, and I will be able to submit it for a book that has more than 2 authors. And finally, after lots of anticipation, we received Leg 9, and we are going to Auckland, New Zealand. The prompt is to read a book with water on the cover. I kind of thought maybe I should pick back this up because, as you can see, it's got the earth and there's clearly water sections. But for whatever reason, I'm just really not feeling this book. So I decided to pick up a middle grade. This is called A Wish in the Dark by Christina Soontornvat. And this is a Les Mis retelling about a little boy born in prison because his mother was arrested while she was pregnant. And he eventually escapes the prison, and the warden's daughter is going after him. Apparently there are fantastical details as well, so that will be really exciting, and as you can see, there's definitely lots of water on the cover. One last thing I wanted to mention is I flew on the last leg because we were in first place, and that was our first place reward. It was the first and only time we've been in first so far, but yeah, I can tell you now because this is the last week, so we won't get sabotaged if people find out that we got first. We only have 2 prompts left, the water on the cover and the last one. So I will update you when I know more. So today is day 27. I have started A Wish in the Dark by Christina Soontornvat, and this is really good so far. This is a Les Mis retelling, and I have not actually read Les Mis, but I have seen the movie and the musical play, so I'm very familiar with the plot points. We start out and we're following Pong. He is a 9-year-old boy who is living in prison because his mother gave birth to him, and although she died in childbirth, he has to stay there until he is 13, and then he will be allowed to leave. The reasoning is that if the parents were criminals, it's very likely that the kids will turn into criminals, and so they need to keep an eye on them. One day, he spots the opportunity to leave, to sneak out and escape, and so he does so. And it was really cool to see, like, he goes to a monastery, and he starts eating the food that is donated to the monks. And he's about to get in trouble when one of the monks covers for him and said, I said he could have this food. And it was very much like in the movie where he goes to the church to steal the candlesticks, and they were like, no, we'll give you the candlesticks. It was a very interesting way to replicate that kind of scene, and I really enjoyed it. So our other main character is the daughter of the warden. Basically, when Pong escapes, he loses his job. He is demoted, and his family is kind of considered a laughingstock. Like, he couldn't even manage this prison. He's super incompetent. And so his daughter wants to basically clear the family name and to have pride associated with her family. She happens upon him, and realizing that he escaped and lived rather than died, she makes it her mission to try and find him and restore honor to the family's name. So I'm about halfway, and it's really good. There is a very small amount of fantasy in that this is like a city of lights, and these lights are magical orbs that come from the governor. And it's strange. He has like this stranglehold kind of this town. He supposedly rescued this town from a great fire, and so fires are not allowed anymore. And so he creates these magical orbs and sells them, and they can either provide light or heat, and so it basically replaces flame. And we have the daughter of the warden. She's just so, like, things are wrong or they're right, and there's no gray areas, and if you escaped prison, then you did a crime and you should be punished for it. But we find out that when she was 3, she got burned from a candle that the family had, which was outlawed. Like, you're not supposed to have any flames. And the level of hypocrisy for her family to be like, oh yeah, you have to follow all the rules except the ones that we decide not to follow. Like, it's just so hypocritical. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's interesting. And even though I know the major plot points of the story, I feel like she did it in a fun and refreshing way, and so I can't exactly predict what's going to happen next. I finished Be Gay, Do Comics last night, and this is going to be my sightseeing book for more than 2 authors, because this has like 40 contributors. Like any anthology, some portions were better than others. I also learned a lot of queer history, which I found really informative and interesting. I always think of the Stonewall riot in the 1960s as kind of what kicked off the gay rights movement. And apparently there were people beforehand. And they were talking about a man who sued the government because he lost his job due to discrimination about him being gay. And I was like, that sounds really familiar. I actually have the nonfiction book that is about that very case, The Deviants War. And he won his claim, and that kind of was one of the first steps for getting more equality as a homosexual. And I just thought, that's really cool, and maybe I should pick this up soon. This was just really eye-opening. I really liked the different bits of queer history that I didn't know. I cannot submit this yet because I have not finished my leg book, but as soon as I do, I will be able to submit this for 400 points for more than 2 authors, and also get the queer bonus for an additional 50 points, because all or most of these authors are queer. That will be submitted as soon as I finish A Wish in the Dark. So I will update you when I have more. Hey, so today is day 28. We still have not gotten our last prompt, but let me fill you in on what I've read so far. So I finished my book with water on the cover for Auckland. I mentioned that this is a Les Mis retelling. Fortunately, it is a much happier ending than what I remember from Les Mis. I find that ending pretty sad. And yeah, we get to see the characters really grow, and it was wonderful. I gave this 4 stars. I absolutely loved it. One of the governor's sayings that he said quite a lot was, "The law is the light, and the light shines on the worthy." And our characters learn that that is absolutely not true, and that just because something is lawful doesn't mean it is right. I have another one of her books on my TBR, and I will probably prioritize it because this was just really good. So this book is 375 pages. I took a plane, which doubled my points to 750, and this is fantasy, so I get an additional 50 points. So I am submitting 800 points for this book. That means I'm also able to submit my sightseeing book. This was 400 points for more than 2 authors, and I get the additional 50-point bonus for queer authors. I decided I wanted to rack up some more points, so I picked up Taproot by Keezy Young. This is a beautiful queer story about a gardener that can see ghosts, and then he happens to fall in love with one, and it's really cute and simple, and I just want to show you some of, like, maybe not the spoilery stuff. It's just gorgeous artwork. There was a scene that literally made me laugh out loud. The gardener who can see the ghosts, he meets a reaper. And they're like, see, this is why I hate necromancers. You interfere in my business, and then you tell me some sob story about how you didn't mean to, or I loved him too much to let him go, or but I really needed an undead army at the time. And you want me to solve your problems? I just thought I liked the snarky reaper. This is getting 3 stars. And I am submitting it for 500 points for a one-word title. The author is queer, and this has fantastical elements, so we get an additional 50 points for both of those things. So I submitted 600 points for this one. I decided to pick up Jamie by L.D. Lapinski. I had to read this one with my eyes only, but because it's middle grade, I didn't have too hard of a time with it. If you're new, I get migraines. It affects me reading visually, and I usually need audiobooks as accommodation. But we had a prompt for 500 points with a person's name in the title. So this works. And this was just such a sweet read. I have read L.D. Lapinski before. They are a queer author and use they, them pronouns. And I just really like their work. This is about Jamie, a non-binary student who has 2 best friends in elementary school, and they find out that when it's time for them to go to middle school, they have to pick between a school for boys and a school for girls, and they are really upset because nobody really thought about non-binary kids. The characters were just so strong, and I feel like what happened was possibly a tad unrealistic, but it was just so happy and uplifting. Jamie is a very snarky kid. He meets up with his parents at the school for the middle school information night or whatever, and it says, "You nearly missed the start. Where have you been?" And Jamie responds, "I've been playing in the middle of the road with scissors and broken glass," which was my usual answer when Mom had asked where I'd been. I just thought, love that. And Jamie has an older brother, Ollie, and when they come out to him as non-binary, the big brother is just so supportive of his little sibling and is just the sweetest brother. Like, even though they tease each other, he is just phenomenal. I wish all kids had an ally like him. There were several little informational sections to talk about different terms. I thought this was really educational, especially for middle grade. But I'm sure adults can learn something too. And there was a scene that literally made me laugh out loud. And yeah, so I wanted to share that. So Jamie is talking with their friends and is trying to figure out how they can make this known. They want to basically raise awareness that everything is binary and it doesn't need to be, and they're trying to figure out what they can do. And so Jamie says, "How big a statement do you think we need to make? Should I go on a hunger strike?" My stomach growled at the very idea. And they were like, "I don't think you're able to go on a hunger strike." And they were like, "That's true. According to Mom and Dad, between Ollie and me, we had managed to eat an entire bakery's worth of bread in a week. Dad once caught Ollie eating emergency frozen bread straight from the freezer, a chunk at a time. He claimed it was just like cold toast. And I have celiac disease, and I used to be one of those people who would just love to eat bread and sandwiches, and the idea of eating cold frozen bread was just hilarious to me. This is wonderful. I can't praise it enough, and I'm actually sad because the third Strange World book that I'm currently reading is, I think, the last book of theirs that I haven't read yet, other than like their one-off World Book Day stuff, which I probably don't have access to. So this is 500 points for name in the title, and then 50 points for queer author. But it was a contemporary, so it doesn't get the genre bonus. So I am in the middle of 3 books. The first is The Secrets of the Stormforest by L.D. Lapinski. I realized that they use initials, which is another sightseeing prompt, and so I picked up the 3rd installment in the Strange World Society. It's just a very fun, fantastical adventure about traveling to different worlds through suitcases, and we've had this kind of growing mystery of this dark force growing, something stealing the magic and harming different worlds, and we're learning quite a bit more in this book now. I am about a third of the way in, and I'm really hoping that it or the other book I'm reading will fit for prompt 10. The other book I'm reading is Can't Spell Treason Without T. I decided I'm going to go ahead and finish this, even if it is not as good as I was hoping. So either this one or the middle grade hopefully will fit for prompt 10. We have not gotten a detour, and a lot of people are kind of curious about what's going on. I was really hoping we would get prompt 10 today because we have today, tomorrow, and Sunday to finish up this readathon, and I would like as much time for the last prompt as possible. We didn't get a detour, but some people have noticed on the spreadsheet that there is a spot for a roadblock, so I'm wondering if we will have that as an option this year. Last year, I'm pretty sure the roadblock was using GRC to sabotage other teams, but I don't know if that's what she's doing this year or what. So we're all a bit on our toes. I'm going to keep reading the 2 books that I'm reading. Cross my fingers one of them counts, although I wouldn't mind starting a new book if I was excited. I have read, I think, 21 and a half books. The reason I say half is I DNF'd 1 book at the halfway point. So I'm counting that because I did submit it, whereas any books where I only read a few pages or whatnot, I'm not counting those. But I've read 21 and a half, which is way higher than I normally read. And I admit some of those things are shorter, graphic novels or audiobooks or kids' books. But I'm really happy with it, and I would love to be able to keep up this pace. So I will update you whenever Bree notifies us next. Hey, so it is day 28, and we have finally got our last leg revealed. We are headed to Los Angeles, California, and the prompt is to read a book that you think would be a good adaptation. Now, that means anything that's already been adapted or are in the works don't count, but for anything else that sounds fun and cinematic. So I could continue reading The Secrets of Stormforest. That is a middle grade fantasy series where you can travel to different worlds through suitcases. And I think that sounds like it could be really magical. I just got my copy from the library of The Stardust Grail by Yumi Kitase. I read her book, The Deep Sky, last year, and I liked it. I didn't love it. But this one, it's a heist, and apparently the main character gets migraines. And I'm always interested in seeing some disability reps, so I'm quite excited to get to it. And I think a heist sounds like a good movie possibility as well. So I'm not sure which one I will pick for that prompt. I will probably read both. But yeah, I will check in with you whenever I have more information. All right. Hey, so today is day 32. We are officially in July. The readathon has ended. I want to tell you what I submitted and also how each of the teams fared. So I was reading The Secrets of Stormforest by L.D. Lapinski for my 10th leg, a book that I want to be adapted, and I was able to take a plane. So it was 353 pages. I took a plane that doubled the points, which made it 706, and I got the queer bonus and the fantasy bonus, which totals 806 points. I picked this up again, but I very much was not in the right mood for it. But because I was over 50%, Bree said that we could count them towards sightseeing books. So I submitted this for 200 points as a self-published book, and she's a queer author, and this is fantasy, so I was able to submit 300 points. Okay, so I will remind you of all of the books I have read for the leg. Bree came up with this very handy graphic, which I really like. And now, drumroll. How did all the teams do? Well, we found out this morning, fantasy is in last place. We got 5th place. But honestly, we had some really awesome superstar mega readers, and that just must mean that there's even more mega readers on the other teams. In 4th place was sci-fi. In 3rd was spooky. In 2nd was team romance. And coming in 1st was team general fiction. This was an absolute joy to participate in, and I definitely want to do it next year. So, what did you read in June? Do you want to participate in Amazing Readathon next year? Let's chat about how our Junes went. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.